So I want to go over how a horse carries his weight. So let's just pretend this 2-year-old weighs 1,000 pounds. I want to try to keep it round. So don't worry about the numbers, but I think you'll get the idea. So the front feet are carrying 65% of the weight. And out of that 1,000 pounds, we've got 650 pounds. And then you add, a saddle and a rider, and let's just say, and minus the 65% on that, let's just say 800 pounds is being carried forward here. So right now he's standing on 2 feet, carrying 800 pounds. And, but you got to understand that when he takes a step, there's a split second when 1 foot is carrying all that weight, whether he's trotting, loping, running flat out, 1 foot is going to cover that weight. So the way a horse moves is when it lands flat, or maybe a little heel first, but it basically flat. And when it lands, it's landing forward. So when the foot comes down, it's landing flat and forward, so all the pressure is in the back part of the foot. And that's, that's where we need to support this weight. So you've got a load times force right down to a point bearing load. That's basically what the foot is. And the guy that's really been talking about this the most is Derek Poupard of 3D Hoof Care, and he's got a lot of flack from it, and I don't understand why, because it totally makes sense to me. And if you've ever had a horse with navicular disease or syndrome or whatever they choose to call it, or major heel issues, crushed heels, all that stuff is, in my belief, because of that impact and not being supported. If you take a shoe, a steel shoe or a plastic shoe, whatever, that's open in the heels and there's no support back there, so when the foot comes down, the frog in the back of the heel have nowhere to go. So they're going up and down, over time, they're just going up and down, up and down, up and down. And if you think about the horse's foot, the way it's set up, you've got the digital cushion or the heel bulbs, and that's just a big mass of soft tissue. And then behind that, you've got a flexor tendon, a deep flexor tendon. It goes all the way down and attaches to the pedal bone, coffin bone. And then, or not behind that, but in front of it. And then in front of that flexor tendon is a little bone right in between the coffin bone and the P2 of the pastern called the navicular bone. So all that inner workings in here with no support is constantly being, drawn down, down and up, down and up, down and up. And I don't know who did, but somebody labeled it as caudal failure. I'd never even heard of that. When I first heard that a few years ago, I had to look it up. And caudal just means the back half of something. So caudal failure is basically the term for anything that goes wrong with the back of the foot now. It could be the navicular bone, it could be the deep flexor tendon back here, it could be the tendons that hold the bone in place, it could be the coffin joint, pastern joint itself, it could be the heels, could be a corn. The corns and crushed heels, they're pretty easy to identify, but the stuff inside, not so much. Now, when one of my good horses several years ago went down with, they called it navicular disease. That's what they called it at the time, but they didn't know exactly why. They just said, yeah, he's navicular. Well, what can we do? Nothing. No treatments, nothing, shoeing. Everybody's got their, oh yeah, I could do this, I could do that, but the pain is still there. So, they can nerve them and all that, but I didn't want to do that. So, that's when I started looking into more navicular, and I started seeing them. And really, I'm kind of talking about sport horses here, horses that we use for rodeo, rope, barrel, eventing, cross country, dressage, jumper horses, to me are just, they have to have perfect conformation to do what they do, to last, at all. And so you'll run into a horse, you'll see a horse, if you go look at a jump horse that's just running with open-heeled shoes, the reason they do that is because their frog and their heel is already at the level of where the shoe would be. So they really don't need any support. They've already got it naturally. But that's kind of rare when you got a horse that's got the right angles and they've got that built-in support. So when you put a shoe on it, you're not blocking anything off. So that's kind of a rare occasion, but most of the horses, the barrel horses, the race horses, they don't have the greatest feet. And so, we have to adjust to that and we have to protect them. Like I said before, everything that we do with horses has a downside. And so I've been using these pads for a while, and this is a plexus pad, and it's basically a half mesh pad with support all the way across the back, and you put an impression material in here, and it really supports the back of the hoof. The downside of these is you're encapsulating the back half of the hoof. So, and this is my opinion on this, and so what I do is 3D Hoof Care has this pad. It's called an Eclipse pad. So I'll cycle them once with this, and then I'll cycle them once with this, because this requires no impression material. It's supporting the frog and the back of the heel, and you don't need any impression. But the only thing about this is you've got to check your horse's feet all the time, because if you get a piece of gravel between this and the frog, you're gonna have a problem. So yeah, this is what I'm talking about. This is not new. This idea is not new, but it's now, because of 3D printing and composites, it's practical. I mean, these are super easy to put on. You just shape your shoe, cut these to fit, pin them on, and you're off. I mean, there's really very little labor involved in this. Now the plexus pad, I paid $13 for a pair, and the Eclipse pad, 18 bucks. And then you got shipping, involved in that too. So if you can, and the farrier is going to have, he's obviously going to have more time, so that's going to be an additional cost. But, cost benefit, it's, there's no comparison, I mean, if you got to pay another 25 bucks a pair, say if you're just doing the front feet, and it's another 25 bucks in your shoeing, that's a steal, compared to if you ever had a horse, with heel problems. And I think now the term is, well, caudal failure or heel pain. So heel pain doesn't identify anything. It just identifies, somewhere in the back of the foot, the horse is hurting. And I think we can avoid that by using these pads. Now, I know there's probably a lot of glue-on people and natural, people that like, that believe that shoes are evil. But, you just got to look at it realistically. If you've got a horse doing the kind of riding that you can do and can go barefoot, yeah, more power to you, man. There's no reason to protect it, but if you got a barrel horse or a jumping horse or something that really slams down hard on their feet, you're gonna overextend the design function of what that hoof can do. So you have to protect it. So it's just common sense. And for the guys that run open heels that say, hey man, this is the way I've been doing it forever, and I'm just going to keep doing it, really think about that, because you're missing a component on how to support that foot. Yeah, I mean, I love steel. I mean, there are just so many, it's so modular, you could do, so many things with it. And I will always use it, unless I don't have to, if I gotta, if I can't use it for some reason. But now with these, I don't I don't see any reason, I can, shoes are, you go to the store, buy them for $6 a pair, and add the cost of these in, and labor-wise, it's negligible. So that's kind of my feeling on the whole issue. I don't want to get into a big fight about Barefoot versus steel shoes, because I don't, to me, there's nothing to fight about. If you've got a horse that can run barefoot and stay healthy, and do it, and if it's got the foot to do that. They're all different. Every foot is different. Cosmo, my wife's jump horse, he's got perfect feet for what he does. He doesn't require this. I just put shoes on him, and he's got all the support right there. And I watch him really, really close. So, yeah, another option are these glue-ons, and these glue-ons, people are having a lot of success with these, and I think it's great. And it's not so much that they're plastic, but they give you the support, this support across here. So if you're using these successfully with what you're doing, more power to you, because you are supporting that part of the foot that needs to be supported. And are these right for everybody? No, they're not even right for me. I've used them, but the way that we ride and use our horses, these are just not practical. So we got practicality, economy, and just ease of use. So that's why I wanted to make this video. There's a lot of guys out there that don't know about this stuff. They just do it one way, and then they go home and that's it. So I'm just hoping that this video will get out there, and more people will start looking into this and utilizing this to support the feet. That's about all I got. Have a great day. See ya.